In this video, I want to go over the top 6 scams that you might encounter in the meme coin world so that you can be aware of them and avoid them. The first one is the ability to mint more tokens. Here I am on my cryptocurrency. As you can see, this is the SPRK token. I created that, I minted that. I'm trying to grow it at the moment. You see it's still early. And as you can see on the top right, it says this token is mintable. Now, I actually revoked the mint authority earlier today. When I launched, I kept it mintable just in case my tokenomics didn't quite work right and I needed to adjust something, but I never did that. So you might see a warning like that. It's a very legitimate warning because what can happen is if it's mintable, then people might buy at a certain price. Let's say I have 10 million tokens outstanding, but then I might mint 100 billion more, meaning that the value of any tokens that anybody bought before goes down because the supply just went up so much. And that's a danger that you might encounter if you see something like this. Token is mintable. Definitely something to watch for. It doesn't mean that the creator of this token actually intends to harm anyone or cheat anyone. Like I never did. I just did it in case I made some errors with my tokenomics. But you can never know unless you know the creator of the token what their true intentions are. So definitely watch this kind of a warning that it's mintable, because if you don't know the founder of this token, you just can't know whether they're planning something malicious or not. So you at least want to move on to other tokens because at least you'll be minimizing that risk. Now, in addition to that, there's another clause which makes the token freezable. If anybody has freeze authority, they can freeze certain wallets or token holders and make them unable to buy or send this token, which is usually a feature used for security and to protect well-intentioned investors, but it can be abused. So you also want to watch for, does anyone have freeze authority? And if anybody does, that can also be a little bit of a yellow flag. Usually the freeze authority is not as bad as authority for the mintable, but you still want to watch for that. Now, the next kind of a scam that's common is liquidity pools. What does that mean? In the meme coin world, if you want to launch a meme coin, as the creator of a token, you have to provide the liquidity, the funds that you put up front to give value to your token. And since you're putting up those funds, you can easily take them out. Well-intentioned token creators never plan and never do pool their liquidity out, but some do. So you might, in some cases, end up with a chart like this. Oh, we're trading, things are great, and then something happens, something like this happens. It's impossible for me to tell exactly what happened just by looking at the chart here, but that's how your chart might look like if there was a liquidity pool or basically just a lot of sales where the people who created the token just sold off so much of the token. Because that's the other type of a scam, is where somebody mints the token, creates tradable liquidity, but also gives themselves a lot of tokens as a reserve. And then as investors buy, the original creator sells off their reserve. Now, it's legitimate and a good idea to have some tokens in reserve. It's actually a bad idea to make all your tokens tradable because you want to have a reserve for many, many reasons, valid reasons. But certainly some malicious token creators who don't care about their investors can wait for a big enough rise and then sell off their tokens. So you also want to be wary of that, which is why at least a little bit of a history helps to tell whether the creators of this token actually have good intentions long term. Because as you can see, this particular trade happened within hours. You see it's nearly midnight here, then 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m. By 9 a.m., it's gone. This is a one-day trade, essentially about a little bit less than 9 hours, maybe 7 hours. And that could be because of a liquidity pool or simply a big sell-off. But in either case, investors lose money. Now, there's also such a thing as an airdrop or pre-sale scam. The creator of the token might say, hey, there's like a pre-sale. I haven't launched yet, but I'm doing a pre-sale. Would you like to buy some at a discount? And people are like, well, yeah, of course I want to buy some at a discount because as soon as it launches, I can sell because I bought it at a 15% or 20% discount, easy money. And if you trust the creator, great. But if you don't really know them, they might never even launch the token. They might just collect your funds, whether you pay them through PayPal or other cryptocurrencies, never launch. And even if they do launch, they may apply all the scammy tactics I just talked about, so the tokens you do end up holding won't be as valuable as they tell you it will be. But again, not all meme coin creators are made equally. Some are malicious, some are not, some are very well intentioned. But if you do pursue such a strategy, you want to make sure that there's a little bit of a history, so it's not a pre-launch unless you really trust that person. And to protect yourself, you might want to use something like escrow or a similar service for cryptocurrency, just not being trusting purely and just sending your money and then hopefully they'll send you something back. Most of the time, that trust works out, but sometimes it doesn't and it's just a scam. Now, there's another kind of a scam that doesn't look like a scam, but it's like a celebrity or an influencer promotion. Let's say you follow some celebrity or influencer, some very, very, very famous people have done this. There was a coin in the past where like top musicians invested earlier and then they promoted it to their audience. All of these musicians had audiences of like millions of people. These were like very famous musicians. And of course, that coin got a lot of buying. It grew. And then the founders lost interest. The actual musicians who were promoting this were just doing it for the money. They actually never really had any interest. And as soon as the team who created that token sort of moved on, and as soon as the celebrity sort of moved on, it just became a dead coin and it just kind of floundered and over the years just went little down, little down, little bit down, little bit down. And it's basically not a scam. Like it's not really a scam, but it's kind of a scam. It's not an outright scam, but it's effectively a scam where it was a long-term pump and dump. So what you want to do is, if you want to invest for the long term, you want to research the team. Now, most of the time, meme coins are for short-term trading. But if you're investing any kind of serious money, certainly you want to research the team, read through the website, and see, is there actual real activity or community underneath or not really? So that's kind of a fake team pump and dump sort of a scheme. It can happen within 24 hours or over a year, but it's the same principle. Now, there's another type of a scam called the honeypot or trading restrictions. A meme coin may have a configuration that allows the buying of that meme coin, but not of the selling. And if people can sell, there might be like extra 99% fees. So people essentially get stuck as holders, but never be able to sell. So if you're not familiar with the token, if you're just thinking about getting into it as an investor, you might want to buy a tiny amount and then sell that tiny amount to see if you can do that. And if you can do that, you can invest a larger amount. So these are the common scams to avoid. The main challenge is that we know very little about the creators of most meme coins. Usually these are not famous or well-known people or anybody with a reputation. These can be individuals like you and I. So it's a very, very, very speculative investment. But that's actually the value of meme coins, because if they were not a speculative investment, you would not be getting them for a thousandth of a penny. You would be getting them for dollars. If it was a sure thing, everybody would have already jumped on it and there wouldn't be that early opportunity of big swings. So that's why this is such a super risky space. And the least you can do is educate yourself about the scams, but also it's an interesting and compelling investment asset class because of the opportunity of large 1000% intraday swings, which you do not get with less risky investments. So this video is not to discourage you, but it's certainly to make you aware of all the things that can go wrong, just so you can become savvy in this space. And one thing that's really great and an investor's dream in smaller altcoins, meme coins, is the potential for that 1000% spike, 10,000% spike. It's possible, but as investors, we often have a shared experience that, frustratingly, we only learn about it after the fact. Other people profit from the spike, somehow learn about it early, and then we learn about it. Oh yeah, look at that cryptocurrency, it spiked, but we missed out on it. This is the common experience where people don't actually know which cryptocurrencies are going to spike. So I want to introduce you to a cryptocurrency that I recently launched that has been growing steadily, and I'm rolling out a lot of promotional materials for it, and it's going to get a lot of publicity soon. At least I'm working on that. I'm an experienced marketer. but now it's still early. It's my SPRK, Spark cryptocurrency, that I launched specifically with the aim of helping creators and entrepreneurs raise money. Think of it as Kickstarter or Patreon, but with cryptocurrency, and taking advantage of many of the benefits of cryptocurrency. You can learn more about this project on sprktoken.com, which I'm showing you on the screen now, to learn about the many real-world benefits and utilities of this cryptocurrency. And what I want to show you now are some charts and price projections for this cryptocurrency based on calculations of ChatGPT. So this is not speculative information from me. These charts are going to come from ChatGPT. What does come from me is the actual growth and the ability to attract investors long term. But luckily, I'm a top 1% marketer online, having reached 1 million students on Udemy, and having large and engaged communities on other platforms as well. So I have exactly the right kind of background to grow a digital asset. So with that in mind, let me show you the actual price projection of this cryptocurrency so that you can see whether you might be interested in making an investment in it at this early stage at which it can still grow 1,000 or more %, which is not a guarantee, but a reasonable bet to make considering the risk reward. You might put in $20 or $25 or $50. That's almost nothing to risk. But if the reward is 100x or 1,000x, as you'll see from the price projections coming up, that makes it a great bet to take. And if you're interested in investing in this cryptocurrency, in the description of this video, I'll have a link to another video which shows exactly how to invest in this cryptocurrency. So let's look at the SPRK token growth path as it goes from 1/10 of a penny in price to, as you can see here, $1,000 per token and beyond. Yes, it's possible. So let me explain how it's possible and what is the underlying mechanism so that you understand how it works. The way such tokens work is that the organization that minted this token provides the liquidity for trading. In this case, there are 10 million tokens available for trading. That's what you see referenced here on the bottom left. You see 10 million on the bottom left on the x-axis, on the bottom axis. Then as 5 million tokens are left, 3 million, 2 million, the price goes up because supply of tokens decrease, the price per token increases. So you can see that while there are still about 10 million outstanding tokens out there, and the liquidity pool at the launch of this token was exactly 10 million tokens. So at that point, it's 1/10 of a penny. But as people buy up, you see here, even up to 5 million tokens, which by the way is not hard to do because it's 1/10 of a penny here. So with just $1, you can buy 1,000 tokens. So it's pretty easy to sell the first 5 million tokens, after which the price is still under a penny, but almost 10x from the initial launch price. So if you invest early in this, you get incredibly disproportionate results because even though this line looks linear, it's only because of how the line looks. The actual price growth is incredibly exponential because you see that after 5 million tokens are purchased, then after about 3 million tokens are purchased, here we are at the 1 penny per token price point, which is 10x of where it launched. Then as people keep on buying more tokens at 1 million remaining tokens in the liquidity pool, the price becomes approximately 50 cents. So now you went from 1/10 of a penny to 50 cents. That's an incredible return, but that's only the beginning. After this inflection point, the price appreciation increases dramatically because the journey from having 10 million tokens outstanding to 500,000 tokens outstanding is not a difficult journey, but you see it starts getting close to $1. And as you get closer to 100,000 tokens remaining in the liquidity pool, you start reaching the $50 price point. And as people buy up more tokens, obviously it's harder to buy them now because they're more expensive, the price increases. So the real exponential chart looks like this. You see, it's relatively slow growth, but if you want to get to a hockey stick, the moment until which you wait is when you have under 1,000 tokens remaining in the liquidity pool, and especially under 100, it really takes off. Now, at this point, it's really, 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 really really hard to sell a token because obviously a token is going to be worth 200,000. So it's not realistic. But to get here, it is realistic. That path is not difficult because at the moment of filming this video, as you can see the price growth here, there's only slightly over 9 million tokens remaining in the liquidity pool because some people bought early. And you can see that up to around the 5 million token mark, this token is incredibly cheap and you can get so many of them and profit from the next people investing after you. So imagine what would happen if you bought at a tenth of a penny or a fifth of a penny or at a penny per token, but then it went to $1. That's 100x your investment. $100 becomes $10,000. But what if you put in $100 very, very early? Then it becomes $100,000. What if you invest $500 very, very, very early and it goes up to $1 or a little more? That's $500,000. So $500 invested when it's still a tenth of a penny in not so distant future. Obviously, there are risks, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel for how the growth can happen. That $500 that you might invest at a tenth of a penny can become $500,000 when the token price reaches $1. Because to go from a tenth of a penny to $1 is 1,000x. Which brings me to the point that even though there is risk, you might just lose some money. Although it's nearly impossible to lose a lot, because if you get in early, the price can't go below this price point of a tenth of a penny per token because that's the price at which it was launched, which is what the liquidity pool that was created allows. So the potential loss isn't that great, but if you can make a bet of 1 to 1,000, that's a good bet to make. So hopefully this visually illustrates the light at the end of the tunnel and how early investors can benefit from owning this token. So with that, of course, I welcome you to become an early investor and profit from the growth of this token.